The following is a project of our nonprofit newsroom. Support Midcoast Morning and local community-centered journalism today by signing up to be a monthly sustaining donor at chly.ca/donate. It doesn't take much money to support local news.
Hello and welcome to Midcoast Morning. Filling in for Joe Pugh, I'm Jack Corfield. From August 8th to 10th, the Nanaimo Blues Festival will be taking place in beautiful Maffeo Sutton Park in downtown Nanaimo. Later in today's show, we'll be speaking with two of the performers featured in this year's lineup, Ariel Posen and local Nanaimoite David Gogo. But first, we'll speak with President of the Nanaimo Blues Society, Jacquie Moisan, on this year's event. Welcome to the show, Jacquie Moisan. You are the President of the Nanaimo Blues Society, but what else should people know about you?
Yes, I'm the president of the Nanaimo Blues Society, and we've been running since 2004 in Nanaimo. People may know me as well through the weekly Sunday Blues Jam at the Queen's. Started that 10 years ago now. We've been running for every Sunday except Christmas and New Year's. You can see us down at the Queen's. We run 3 to 7. I'm the friendly host at the front door and the organizer for the Sunday Blues Jams. And just a little bit of a pitch for that, we hire a combination of local and touring artists throughout Canada. Each Sunday we have a different artist. We also can bring in young players with legal guardians, so it's a fantastic venue for young players who are really committed to their music to come and play with professional musicians.
That's awesome. How often do you find people are coming in, these young musicians, to play at the Queen's?
You know, more and more all the time. We do some wonderful collaboration with the School of Rock, and they've brought in their students and performed, and it's just such a beautiful, welcoming, lovely audience. They truly come down to listen to the music. They really appreciate the young performers who come down and really cheer them on. So it's a great experience for the young performers. And we also mentor young performers. We've had one young performer, James Vickers, a local fella, 14 years old now, but his first appearance at the Blues Jam was when he was 11 years old. So he's been coming for 3 years, playing with all of the seasoned musicians. He's making quite a name for himself now, and he's a wonderful young player. We've got other young players as well that have been coming for several years and are moving into careers in music. So it's a great mentoring environment.
That's amazing. Then you're setting them up yourself. You're basically bringing this community together. How did you get started in creating this kind of community?
Well, I think there's always been a very, very strong blues community in Nanaimo, and it started with I think it was called the Underground Blues Railroad, if I can remember correctly, and that used to be downstairs in the old CHLY radio station, and I think still, if you're still located down there. So that has been historically was kind of a venue and avenue for young players to be mentored by senior players. So we're just building on that really good legacy, what we're doing at the Blues Jam, really. There is not a lot of live venues left, unfortunately, and we're very, very fortunate to have the Queen's in Nanaimo as a wonderful live venue. So we really appreciate that.
Yeah, and I noticed that a couple of the shows on the Blues Festival lineup there are actually listed as after-party shows at the Queen's.
Yes. So for that, we do that every year. And for festival goers who have wristbands, of course, they get free admission, and anyone else can pay at the door. It's the first come, first serve. So we have a couple of bands coming in. This year we have Bill Johnson Band from Victoria. Wonderful, wonderful Canadian treasure. We also have Nanaimo's own, the Harpoonist, coming in on Saturday. So both of those bands come in, and very often we are treated with some of the headliners coming down from the festival. So often you will have the good fortune to come into the after party festival, and some of the headliners will come down and jam out. So that's always a real treat.
I think blues is a complex genre. There's a lot of different sort of subgenres and historical legacies to it. When it comes to building the lineup for a blues festival, how do you select these performers, and what are you looking for?
Yeah, great question. Thank you very much. I think when we're curating the lineup, and I have great support in the curation, our vice president is Al Metcalf, who in his own is a very accomplished musician, producer, and knows all aspects of the music industry. The other person on our artistic committee is Tristan Clark, who again is a very accomplished musician. So when we're curating the lineup, we're definitely recognizing the history of the blues, where it comes from. And you're right, it's absolutely, there's a lot of genre that ties into the blues. And that's why when you're looking at blues, it's a very, very broad continuum. It's everything from rock and blues to swing and blues to country blues to rhythm and soul and just everything in between. So we really try to recognize where the blues come from. We also really try to program a lot of diversity in our lineup. So we have what's called a New Blues Showcase, and I think it's our third year now with the New Blues Showcase. And each year we feature emerging players in the industry to give them an opportunity to play on an international stage, as well as giving our audiences opportunity to see emerging musicians. So typically we are looking at bringing in a few international acts from the States. Strong Canadian programming. Most of our programming is Canadian. We try to have about 40% local programming. And by that, I mean Nanaimo, Vancouver Island, West Coast. So we really try to recognize the wonderful talent here on the West Coast. So it's a bit of a broad lineup, and really do pay attention to diversity in our lineup. And just a really good experience for the people who come to enjoy the music.
Mm-hmm. And so what's the tradition of Nanaimo Blues Festival? How long has it been running, and how did it start?
Yes, absolutely. Well, first of all, I'd like to acknowledge that the festival is held on Maffeo Sutton Park, which is the traditional unceded territories of Nanaimo. We like to recognize that we live, work, and play on this territory, and we're grateful and humbled to be able to have such a beautiful festival on these lands. Every year, we do have Nanaimo drummers and singers come, Footprints of the Wolf, and they do a welcoming for us. So again, this year on Saturday, we will have Footprints of the Wolf coming, and I hope that people get to enjoy their teachings and their drumming and their singing.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that in a certain way, especially with the sort of thematic resonance, that some Indigenous music is definitely sort of connected to the blues in this way, even if it doesn't have necessarily the same sounds?
Well, absolutely. And I mean, when you look at the history of the blues and where the blues music came from, and you look at colonization and slavery and just the extinguishment of freedom and rights and culture, and then you look at colonization and the histories of Canadians' relationship with Indigenous peoples in Canada, there is a lot of parallels. And certainly we are seeing wonderful Indigenous blues singers across Canada who are able to tell their stories through the blues.
And to return to the question from before, how did the Nanaimo Blues Festival get started?
Oh, yeah. Well, the Nanaimo Blues Society was first formed in 2004, and Eric McLean's Specialty Foods, Billy Boy Lucas, and some other kind of founders got together and said, hey, we need a blues organization, and we need to pay attention to this genre of music and promote it. So that Blues Society was actually formed next year. Well, it's 20 years. And for the festival, it's actually our 19th year. So 2025 is going to be the 20th anniversary of the festival. It started off with small venues down at Diana Krall and various little stages throughout Nanaimo. A few years later, it, of course, started getting bigger and eventually moved over to Maffeo Sutton Park. And we're still based out of Maffeo Sutton Park. Here we are 19 years later with an International Blues Festival out of Maffeo Sutton.
That's amazing. It's a great big event to have in Nanaimo, great community builder. Have you seen the sort of response of the blues community to this festival in Nanaimo?
Absolutely. And I will say one of the things that's really heartened us over at the organization is we've really worked hard on bringing in younger generations, not only to play blues music, understand the history of the music, but as well younger generations to come and appreciate the music. And I must say that we are starting to see that occurring, particularly through the Sunday Blues Jams. When those jams first started, 10 years ago, I think it would be fair to say that 85% or more of our audiences were 65 plus. You go into those blues jams now and you'll see quite a different demographic. We've got everyone from young kids with their parents to teenagers to young adults to seniors, right across multi-generational. So it's wonderful to see younger people coming in to enjoy the blues, gain appreciation of what the blues is, and as well for younger players to come and be performing the blues. So you'll see that reflected in the Annual Blues Festival as well. The audiences are definitely getting some younger audiences coming in.
Awesome. Well, that's all the questions I had here for you. And thanks very much for the interview, and pleasure to have you here. And I look forward to being at Blues Fest.
Well, I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, CHLY, for all of your support. And for everyone out there, remember the blues makes you feel good, and come on down, enjoy our musical community. And for some folks who maybe aren't going to come into the festival, you can certainly go down to the park and listen to the music outside of the gate. So it's a good experience for all. And also just a quick note to let people know that we do have food trucks, artisans, and info booths. So food trucks are accessible to the public throughout those 4 days.
That was Jacquie Moisan, president of the Nanaimo Blues Society, organizers of the Nanaimo Blues Festival. The 19th year of the festival takes place again this August from the 8th to the 10th in Maffeo Sutton Park. For a full list of Nanaimo Blues Festival's sponsors, including CHLY, check out bluesnanaimo.ca/sponsorship.
Midcoast Morning is made possible by the Community Radio Fund of Canada's Radio Meters program and listeners like you. Support Midcoast Morning and CHLY's nonprofit newsroom today by becoming a sustaining donor at chly.ca/donate. Local news can't survive without your support. Another way to help us out is to share this show with your friends and tell them why they should support us. Finally, if you're listening to the podcast edition of Midcoast Morning, go and give us a positive review on Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast feed you use. It helps people find us.
Next up on the show, we have Winnipeg-born and Montreal-based Ariel Posen, followed by Nanaimo's own David Gogo, two artists among many who are performing at this year's festival. Welcome to Midcoast Morning, Ariel Posen. You're a child of musicians, raised in the music scene, steeped in music throughout your whole life. Was it inevitable that you became a musician?
I think so. It was never forced upon me in any way, but when it made sense for me to fully just dive in and commit and give it a shot, I think I had what I needed. I had the tools from, my upbringing and obviously time spent with other people that, it just made sense.
So your most recent album, Reasons Why, came out in September 2023. Then in April of this year, you brought us a redux of Reasons Why, and the sound is noticeably different. Like in I Wish That We Never Met, you go from an almost sort of ska beat, which is still there in the more stripped down version, that almost sounds a lot more like live in the redux. I want to know, what's the story there?
I just wanted to re-approach these songs, for the most part, how they were written. And, whenever a song is written, it's usually starts with just a guitar and a voice. And I thought it would just be fun to, reimagine these songs in a different way as we're so used to like the full band sound and arrangement. I think there's a lot more to explore in these songs and potentially more to get out of them if you strip a lot of the noise away. And I think a lot of my fan base, which I'm grateful for, they love the guitar playing and the guitar parts. So like to simplify it and make sure people are like listening to the lyrics and getting a true essence of like the vocal performance, and while doing it in a really unprecious way, not making it perfect, just making it have character and whatnot. I just wanted to come at it from a different angle, and I'm happy with how it turned out.
I want to ask you a bit about the process of being a musician and touring all the time, putting on shows. It sounds a little bit, we were talking before the show started, that you actually are feeling like it's a good mix right now, and it's a little bit like busy and relaxed. So what's the process of like putting together like a set list, for example, for you?
Yeah, it's tough actually, because you start to see what songs work in a set, and you start to see what people react to in a set. Maybe it's not something that you feel the strongest about, but you've tried to find a mix of going with what you know works, going with what you want to play, and making it feel like a journey. I know that sounds cheesy, but what I mean by that is, like if you're writing a song or you're taking a solo or you're watching a movie, even it's all like you're trying to tell a story. So when I go see a show, I want to feel like I'm on some kind of ride. I don't just want to see song after song after song, even though that's what it is. Like there's a difference between being up on stage and just playing songs and a difference from actually putting on a show and doing a show. The show includes the songs, but there's more emphasis and attention to the detail, the in-betweens, the transitions, the like, where do you address an audience? What songs do you actually want to say something about? And all these things, I have to, I think long and hard about these things. And then, we test it out, and sometimes things change if I feel they could be better, or, after a while you need to keep things exciting for yourself too. And you don't ever want to feel like you're too comfortable. So just finding this middle ground of finding something that feels cohesive and makes sense and is satisfying at the end of the show. And I think we do a pretty good job on that. Like I said, we're coming up on almost a year of playing a very similar set because we've been in this cycle of this Reasons Why record. So we have tweaked it a little bit, but I look forward to eventually moving to the next chapter and doing the whole process over again.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so do you mix in some other stuff that's not on Reasons Why as well?
Oh yeah. We don't play the whole album down. I would not call them the hits by any means, but we play a lot of songs from previous records that people want to hear and react to, and ones that I think are quite strong, live. Like we don't play like a 3-hour show or anything like that, but when you have 3 albums of music already, you start to realize, holy crap, I have this like collection now of songs, which is great. And you want to kind of play them all, but you have to just, a little from my first record, a little from the second record. And then you obviously focus on the newer songs a little bit while still making it familiar enough. Yeah, you want to make it familiar enough for the people that know your catalog. And then you want to make it good and exciting for people that are, significant others or friends that are coming to a show that don't even know our music, so that they can at least get a wide gamut of the songs,
So you're coming to Blues Fest in Nanaimo on the 10th of August, and that's the Saturday. I've already got my ticket. But is there anything else, anyone who's listening or won't be able to go to that show, where can they hear you, and what should they be looking forward to from you?
Well, they can hear me everywhere. I'm really not hard to find on the internet. I have a new song coming out on Friday, August 2nd, called Without You.
Is that new song part of a new album that you're working on?
I don't know.
I guess we'll see.
Just wait and find out.
Oh, man, I got to be patient. No. I guess actually the real question is, it's going to be coming out in on the 2nd. Are you going to be playing it at Blues Fest?
We might be. Again, this is a good opportunity to... I'm like the no answers guy. There's a good chance we will play it. But we also have a nice long set at the fest, which I'm stoked about. So that means we can play our full-on Ariel concert set, which, is pretty dialed in and great. So
that's awesome.
They'll just have to come and hear us and find out. It's going to be fun.
Ariel Posen, international man of mystery, I guess, dragging us along on these new songs. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm glad that that's the day I'm coming to the show. So thanks so much for the interview today, and that's all I got.
My pleasure, man. We'll see you at the fest. Looking forward to it.
That was Ariel Posen, who will be playing Saturday the 10th at Nanaimo Blues Festival. Now on to the one and only David Gogo. David Gogo, you're a Juno Award-winning, longtime contributor to the Canadian blues canon and an international performing artist. Also, you hail from Nanaimo, where you'll be returning in about a week to play the Nanaimo Blues Festival. How does it feel to be coming back to play in your hometown?
Well, I've lived in Nanaimo, or just outside of it, up in Gogo Mountain my entire life. I mean, to me, it's a special place. Our family property, we've been there since 1897, which for a white person is a long time. And I'm really excited. I can't believe it's this quick. Like wow, it's next week. Wow. But the Nanaimo Blues Fest is fantastic. I mean, for a guy like me, you couldn't ask for a better thing to happen in your hometown. I'm a blues artist, and there's a blues festival, and it's a great festival. It's such a wonderful location, and it's a destination point, I feel. So I'm super excited to come back, especially with a new album.
Yeah, that's awesome. Speaking of your new album, yeah, it's comes in real hard, real fast, real loud. I was just listening to it yesterday. It's quite the solid album for doing like on stage performances. A very strong live album.
Yes, and that's because when we recorded the album, a lot of we kept a lot of first and second takes. It was very much what we call live off the floor, which means when you're recording, like you're not erasing parts and re-recording guitar parts. Like we kept so many first performances or second performances perhaps, and so there's a spontaneity to that really it makes it sound more alive. It's not like sometimes in the studio you can get a little bit uptight and it gets a little bit sterile, but this time it's a really live sounding album because we played it live.
So this last song on the album, yeah, it comes in and it's called The Ballad of Bad Boy Billy. Comes in a little out of place, I kind of felt. It's a sort of a departure from the themes of the rest of the album is more focused on, and it's got a softer, more nostalgic, more melancholy feel. Are you willing to share maybe some of what that story is? What's that song about?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's about a friend of mine, kind of a Nanaimo dude. I'm a 55-year-old man. I think Billy might have been 56 or 7, but he passed away last year. He was a guy that I did a little bit of school with and hung out with. I went to his memorial, and it was really amazing. Just the amount of people that were there, it was at the old Oxy, but just the people that were there. We had everything from full patch Hells Angels to school teachers to, former Nanaimo council members. And it showed that he appealed to that amount of people. He was kind of an odd duck, but at one point he was a boxer. So he was known as Bad Boy Billy. That was his boxing name. And he was pretty tough, man. I remember when he passed away, when I got the word that he passed, and I'd gone into town, into Nanaimo. So I stopped at the Oxy because I knew some people there would know him. So I walked in there and talked to one of the staff members, and I said, "Have you heard the news?" And she said, "Yes, I have." And the story she told, she said, last time Billy was in here, he was he would get mixed up in trouble, And so she had to ask him to leave, but, in a nice way. And he did leave. But she said at the end of the night, he was there waiting for her to walk her to her car to make sure that she got to her car safe.
Aww.
So it says a lot about the character of the man, is that, he got caught up he got caught up in some troubles, but he was always, like the song says, he had a heart of gold.
Mm.
So it's just one of those things, as you go through life and you meet certain people, interesting characters. And when I left his memorial, I just thought to myself, I got in my car and I just thought, the Ballad of Bad Boy Billy.
Mm.
This song needs to be written. And it's a funny thing with blues, and I'm guilty of this myself. Like, we all want to write about Memphis, or we want to write about certain, American things. And I'm finding at this point in my career, I'm writing a lot more songs that are about people I really know or situations I really know. And this one with Bad Boy Billy, it's a really important song, and I use some swear words in it, but I felt that I had to convey like the meaning of him and the passion of him. But yeah, it is a little out there. Like, I asked Jimmy Boskill, who plays on the album. Jimmy mostly played bass on the album, but I said to him, this song's really special to me. So instead of me just doing my regular guitar solo, my hotshot guitar solo, the one that I have that I'm so good at, I asked him to play pedal steel guitar. And for people who don't know, that's very much usually just used in country and Western music, especially old country and Western. There's a certain sound, but it's almost an eerie sound, but it really fit the song, and Jimmy really nailed it. So I'm quite proud of the number, and the people that have heard it that knew Billy just think that the song's, just a real fitting tribute. And it's funny because people say, "Oh, he would have been so happy to hear this." And that's the ironic thing, is that I would not have written the song if he hadn't have passed away. But I wish he could hear it,
Yeah. That's a whole different kind of yeah.
Yeah. That's like, yeah.
Yeah. Not an exclamation point at the end.
No.
Thank you for sharing that. So you've played Blues Fest before. I think last time was in 2002, and you've been a part of the Nanaimo scene, of course, your whole life. What do you think has been the evolution of the scene in your view, and where do you think it's going?
Well, I was going to play the festival last year, but they had changed the date, and I'd already booked myself somewhere out east because they used to have a certain weekend that they always did it on. So I'm glad to be back. The neatest thing for me right now, because, I'm a 55-year-old man. I've been doing this for a while. I love seeing younger people and new people kind of joining the scene, like in fact, in my Western band, the drummer is Sarah Vero, and Sarah is, I don't know, like 21, 22 years old. But she's a fantastic player. There's people like James Vickers, and there's a lot of young players. So that's really encouraging for me to see these young people come up. I mean, I used to be the young guy. I mean, I started playing in bars in Nanaimo bars. I started playing when I was still a teenager. There used to be a place called Frisco's. It was the old Newcastle Hotel, and it was across from the Civic Arena. So that's how old I am. I'm talking about structures that no longer exist and haven't existed for decades. But we'd set up and play, and we play the blues. So now that I'm old, it's so encouraging for me to see these young people playing and getting excited about the music. It's fantastic.
Thanks so much for having this interview with me today, David Gogo. Can't wait to see you at Blues Fest.
Thank you very much.
You can catch both Ariel Posen and David Gogo at the Nanaimo Blues Festival. Gogo will be playing on Thursday the 8th, and Posen will be playing on Saturday the 10th. Get your tickets or weekend passes at nanaimoblues.ca. That's our show for the day. Thank you for joining me. I'm Jack Corfield, fill-in host and producer of Midcoast Morning. Jesse Woodward is our executive producer, and RB Frew is our technical advisor. You can sign up for CHLY's newsletter at chly.ca/subscribe for updates from our nonprofit newsroom. Our theme song is First One by local Nanaimo band Waste Management. If you have a story you'd like us to cover, email us at news@chly.ca.
Midcoast Morning would not be possible without the funding of the Community Radio Fund of Canada's Radio Meters program and listeners like you. Midcoast Morning is a project of CHLY's nonprofit newsroom. Support nonprofit journalism in Nanaimo and on the Salish Sea today by becoming a monthly sustaining donor at $5 or more per month. Support the program at chly.ca/donate. If you're already a supporter, record a voice memo telling others where you're listening from and why they too should support our work. After you're done, you can email it to us. Also, share the podcast with your friends. While Meta is blocking Canadian users from sharing news content on their Facebook feeds, you can still share our podcast directly with your friends via Facebook or Instagram Messenger. Finally, this program acknowledges and gives thanks to the Snuneymuxw First Nation as we broadcast and podcast from their traditional territory. Thanks for listening.